and welcome back to yet another episode of the Jimmy T Podcast. I am here with my co-host Ogarth.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, and it was an awesome week of UCF sports, and we can talk about where we can get into some UCF football, UCF soccer, and we can also kind of get back into talk about our picks from last week to see who won. But speaking of football, it was a great weekend to be a UCF Knight as the Knights came out strong in their AAC, American Athletic Conference opener against East Carolina with a win 47-29. What did you think?
I have 3 words: Adrian Killins and defense. On the win, that's all I have to say.
Yes, it was. And if you watched last week's episode, which the link will be in the bottom if you want to call back to, we definitely talked about Adrian a lot as he did dominate the Knights in all-purpose yards yet again, especially behind a 100-yard kickoff return, which set the tone for the rest of the game that really did help the Knights go to a victory.
Yeah, it was getting close, tied up. It was actually 21-23, I believe, and Adrian Killins took it back to the house for a 100-yard return.
Yeah, it was big. It was a huge momentum swing, and another big performer in the game, which statistically didn't jump out, but towards the end of the game, his presence was definitely felt, and that was Justin Holman coming back, as it was news to all of us that apparently he has been hurt the last 2 weeks, which was not really said by anyone in the program. And then also on top of that, Mackenzie Milton, who was our starter the last 2 weeks, got hurt towards the end of the FIU game, which was news to all of us as well. And I kind of talked about that. This may be the difference of something that the Knights as a program want to try and change, of kind of fan involvement. So we're not tuning in on Saturday or going to the game on a Saturday and being like, hey, who's starting for us? Because that's such a thing of like fan involvement, of like saying like, oh, cool, I hope Justin does well, or I hope Mackenzie does it this week for us. Like, that's an important thing to know that fans should at least be, for the most part, included on.
Most definitely. Fans in bigger programs, as you see, like UF, you would know about an injury from the Saturday that happened. So you would know who's coming on next Saturday and what's happening as things go on. Yeah,
and it just was stuff like that it's definitely like, I'm sure the football program's going to look to us for PR tips. But I mean, it is something that, like, as fans to kind of be aware of, that like maybe it is just exciting to know like who's going to be quarterback this week.
Yeah, it's just an excitement factor. Maybe they're just like hyping us all up, so we just know next week it's like we could have Milton, we could have who knows.
And I will say from a strategic standpoint that it kind of helps that like teams aren't necessarily sure who they're preparing for. Even though the quarterbacks are a little similar, there are differences between Holman and Milton that can make teams have to, if you make them have to prepare for 2 people, then maybe that helps them in the long run. But ECU definitely, statistics, except for anything but rushing yards, they actually were very strong in this game. Like the quarterback Nelson, who I think leaving towards the beginning of the fourth quarter, still was 26 of 43 for 296, 2 touchdowns, and just 1 interception.
Yeah, he was pretty strong. They had their receiving game was actually pretty strong.
Their receivers were very, very impressive. I think it was Zay Jones. Is that his name?
Yeah.
He was wonderful. Yeah. Like that was one of those guys. I always sit and watch some of these games, and I'm like, goodness, man, maybe the Bucs should take him. Like as a fan standpoint of like, goodness, like maybe he'll get drafted. That's a guy. Like he's had, I know at least one game this year, he had 20 plus catches. That was against South Carolina earlier this season. I think for his career, he has 3 games of 20 plus catches, and that's something that's absolutely insane. That's just ridiculous. Like an average game, like their leading receiver, Zay Jones still did have 16 catches yesterday, but their Jimmy Williams, I think is his name, he had 7 receptions for 145 yards, which is a great day, and he was the leading receiver, but he only did that in 7 catches. So it's like you can see these guys can have these monster numbers, but just from a reception standpoint of just the offense is flowing through this person, that's a big indicator of it.
Yeah, most definitely. He's most definitely a possession receiver. He's looking for the ball every time, so he's him and the quarterback have a solid connection there.
Yeah, and it was interesting because the Knights did do, I mean, not as I can say a great job because it helped them in the long run, but you don't want to see anyone get hurt, as they did knock Nelson out of the game for ECU. And by knock, I mean absolutely knocked him out cold. And it was a little concerning because at first I was like, oh, cool, we got him. Like, he's down. And then they showed the highlight, and it was like, oh, goodness, he is down.
Yeah.
Like, he was just out. He just seized up and went down, and that's not good. And actually, like our linebacker got suspended, or got not necessarily suspended, but tossed out of the game.
Yeah,
He got ejected for targeting, which the announcers were like, it was kind of a little bull because it wasn't intentional. Because he was kind of running by, and Griffin, I think it was Shaquille Griffin, knocked him into 16 and knocked him out, and like knocked the quarterback into the guy's helmet and shoulder, and that's what knocked him out. So the guy the guy who was ejected really didn't even try and initiate contact. Yeah. It was put into him. So that means actually this Friday he's going to have to miss the first half.
Yeah.
Which is not going to be great because it is one of our starting linebackers, and he did have a very good game. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the defense rebounds.
Yeah, this Friday is actually a big one. They're shutting down everything. Everyone's getting ready for our first and only Friday game.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We're home against Tulane. We'll be armored in black. And we're supposed to all wear black to the game on Friday night. It should be a pretty great environment, especially with a winning record now, 3-2, coming off of a big American Athletic Conference opening win.
Yeah.
That it really should kind of set the way for the rest of the season.
Yeah, everyone wear black, come out to the game, support the Knights. I'll see you there.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And to kind of look ahead, because I am one of those people with the schedule, I always have to kind of strategically plan out like what games can we pick up now based off of this. And I really think for my goal for them is 7 wins this year.
7 wins.
That's a bowl game.
Yeah.
That's a bowl game. That's huge for the program to be able to go to a bowl game in the first year under Frost. Win or lose, that's a good thing from a publicity standpoint for recruiting.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, 4-star recruit who might not be like he might go to a Florida or a Florida State and have to sit for a year or two.
Yeah.
Say, look, you come here and you're going to be able to play in some big situations and be able to go to bowl games with this coach and this system. And that's a big selling point to players, bowl games, to have this extra stuff out there. And as the university as a whole, it actually helps them bowl games as well.
Yeah, the university as a whole also, you sell them the pitch of along with stands being full and all that, more fans are coming out, more students are coming out, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and just the awesome thing is that because I started at UCF last year, that kind of the beginning of the season was just an awesome buzz of like, goodness, football's coming back, and then it quickly died off. As well it should have, as we keep referring to the dreaded 0-12, I call it the golden sombrero, getting the big 0. And it just was like there wasn't a lot of buzz and excitement further into the season as it really became like we were playing for something.
Yeah.
And right now there is that buzz. People are excited. And I'm sure the stadium will be full for at least the first half, and we'll see how much we can retain on a Friday night. But it'll just be great to see, like, just that everyone's pumped for this game, and classes get to end early as well on Friday. So that's always a good thing.
That's a great thing.
But no, and definitely looking at the rest of the UCF schedule, I will take a peek at it as I always do. We do play Tulane this coming week, then Temple. We're home against Temple. That will be the homecoming game. Then UConn at Houston, Cincinnati, Tulsa, and USF. 4 wins is in that.
Yeah, most definitely.
It should be. If they play with the competitiveness and just the defense comes out and plays like they did, and the offense is able to do a little bit more as they did towards the end of the game, I think there are wins out there where it's not like we're going to win out, but like there's just going to be a good product on the field, and that's a great thing to lead into next year. That'll be interesting to see.
Most definitely. I keep those 2 words with me, Adrian Killen.
Yes, that we talked about him last week, and he paid dividends for us this week, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what he does as the year continues on, because he is only a true freshman.
Yeah.
True freshman. So this time last year, he was getting ready for high school games and playing in high school games, taking high school classes. And here he is now, scored an 80-plus yard touchdown against Michigan in the Big House. Yeah. Helped spark a solid and big win against ECU for an American Athletic Conference opener on the road. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to see because it's just a real fun, exciting guy that Frost has brought in just based off his name alone of coming to this program, to see that when a product's on the field, get more guys like an Adrian Killings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This part, we're also going to move on to men's soccer.
Yes.
So our men's soccer team, they took on SMU. They eventually won the game 1-0. It was really physical. We had 2 yellow cards. We had 11 shots on goal, whereas they only had 8. So we did end up coming out with the W.
And there was also a long rain delay as well, so that they were able to kind of fight back and be able to pull off that victory there as well.
Yeah, there was a huge rain delay.
Yeah, it was a bit, and it was their first home victory of the season, which is awesome because we did kind of allude to last week that it has been a little bit of a tough sledding for the men's team so far because they are just 2-5 overall in the season, but they are 1-1 in the American Athletic Conference. So at the end of the day, conference schedule and record is what matters the most. And there was some women's soccer for us to talk about, as the UCF women's team has been doing pretty well in soccer as of late. Unfortunately, against an AAC rival in SMU, they did drop their game today at 3-1, as the Knights did come out pretty strong and they scored in the opening minutes, which made it look like it was going to be a pretty great game. But unfortunately, SMU was able to tie it up in the 72nd minute, and then in the 80th, they were able to pull ahead 2-1. Yeah. And then in the 87th minute, they got a penalty kick to pull away 3-1.
Yeah, so there was not the result they wanted, but hopefully this Wednesday at USF. The war on I-4, the women's will be gone.
Yep, it'll continue, and hopefully they'll be able to bounce back against USF and stick it to them as they continue American Athletic Conference play to keep it being a good season, as they have started off pretty well and done well. All right, and then for our last segment we will do a UCF events recap where we'll kind of talk about what's been going on campus this past week, and Ogarth definitely has something to talk about.
Yeah, the challenge course happened this week. That was a great event. I actually did myself. It was fun. You climbed up a huge rope. Then from that you hooked on and you walked across the thing with a partner, super high in the air. And the thing was, it was one of my friends, but I've known him for a certain amount of time, and he's one of those funny people. So I was like sketched out about.
I'm not good with heights. because we did the climbing wall in the RWC, but I've done it also before, and I'm like, heights, man. Like the first time I did it, I was like, I got up about halfway, and I'm like, crap, this is really high up. I remembered I was bad with heights. But was it the same way with that? Because I see that challenge course out there. Yeah. It's up there.
I got up there. I was like, okay. And I went to look down, and then that's when they said you basically have to walk this little rope. So I was like, okay, I guess we hold on to something above our head. No, it's like you hold on to your partner for stability. And my partner was like 6'7". So I'm like this, trying to reach out to grab him.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, if you both go down, just stay on top of him, ride him down. Goodness, that's like nuts. Like, I'm getting like goosebumps thinking about it. Like,
so we walk the rope. There's 4 ropes, and you have 2 different different groups. So you walk the rope. Then the second part of it was you walk the rope again. Yeah. But there in between there's stuff to hold on the first part. Now there's not. And then the third part is you take a seat on this raft and they shoot you across the thing. And then after that you walk this rope, but there's only 3 ropes this time, so 2 people on the middle rope. So that was crazy. And then after that you get zip line down.
That's cool. Yeah. That honestly sounds like a lot of fun. I think I would like to do something like that, because even though I'm not great with heights, I feel like it would still that would be a cool thing to do. This kind of experience.
It was most definitely. It was a solid hour and a half. It was serious.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then, because I did allude to also, is we did the rock climbing wall in the RWC, which is a lot of fun. And even the challenge course as well, is it's something you can go out and it's free as a UCF student. Just show your ID, show up to these events like the RWC. That is real important to kind of take advantage of all this awesome stuff we have. And if you're not great with heights, then this is a way you can get better with them. Or embrace not being good with them. Or if you're just a crazy person who loves being up high, then this is an awesome thing for you.
Yeah, this just for you. This one has your name on it.
Yes. There is a lot of awesome stuff that the RWC does related to the challenge course and the rock climbing wall. Like a lot of events that you can go in and participate, and based off the certain way you go up the wall, you can get points and prizes and everything. And it's pretty sweet stuff.
They actually have a rock climbing event this week that happened too. So
awesome!
You guys make sure you check out everything the RWC puts on.
Yeah, make sure to find them on their social media. Go to their website, and they post all of this stuff all the time to be able to just be aware of what's up, so you can take advantage of stuff that you may not have known you're able to. And right before we get out this last week, because it did pay dividends for me last week, because I did say I hope my picks would be better, we will do our final thoughts this week. And Ogarth, you go first.
Since I lost, my final thoughts, well, I actually have 2. One would be this week, Miami win. That would really help me. That would really help. And then secondly, it's not really much of a thought, but there is intramurals for dodgeball and soccer, and we're creating a team. So if you would like to be on our team, please comment below and let me know, because my team is definitely going to win it all. So I'm just saying, we're really competitive, but anybody can join. So just make sure you comment below.
All right, and then as I was leading into with my final fact, was Justin Bieber once held up a sign from his hotel room window saying, "Go to McDonald's and get me a Big Mac." He got his Big Mac. So I'm gonna put just one Big Mac. I think. I don't know. But the point is that I think if you put out messages into the world, good stuff happens. So here's my message.
Make my pig good.
Someone do it. Someone do it for me. FSU, it's up to you.
They're watching this right now.
They're watching, like, we're going to do it for him. Let's do it. All right, this has been another episode of the Jimmy T Podcast. Don't forget to check out last week's episode and any other content we put out in the future. We'll be back next week.
Have a good one.